Internet of Things is creating a lot of data. So you are collecting data over data. You have a better picture what's going on in your trial. You have and you have the data really in real time. So you have the possibility for a much better forecasting based on very good data, because everything in forecasting what's going in is going out at the end. So this helps you a lot, especially by the data collection and real-time data collection, to have a much better distribution planning. Or know also in the supply chain where are the critical elements, also based on history, that you avoid this in future.
The hardest to map is pretty much everything that leaves your facility and actually is supposed to arrive at the clinical site. Those are the hardest to map. It's the transportation to the airport, it's getting everything onto the plane, it's getting the plane to the actual airport correctly, it is getting it offloaded, and then ultimately finally getting it to the clinical site. And especially as we're going to all these wonderful new countries throughout the world that have their own challenges, whether it's customs issues, whether it's regulatory issues, whether it's even temperature or power issues. There's all kinds of challenges with the infrastructure and every step along the way. So what would you do to go ahead and overcome those? We're in a partnership. The partnership, which is absolutely key, is the fact that we have to work together. And the lesson learned that I've learned a long time ago is try to find the people that really know as much about all these issues as possible. And typically what I do is I go to the actual couriers, or I go to the customs brokers, and I talk to them and I say, okay, I'm going to be shipping into the Congo. Can you tell me what are the issues with the Congo? Okay, so what are the challenges that I have with regards to transportation? What are the areas that I have with regards to what happens when they actually get to customs? What do they do? I heard a great comment from a good friend who actually presented here at this conference, Sue Lee from World Courier. Her comment was awesome. She was talking about the Congo. And one of the Congo's newest things to do is they'll take out the temperature monitor to check and see if it's actually been tripped and gone out of spec. And if it has, they won't allow the shipment in. On the other hand, if it is not tripped, they will then pack everything, they'll hold on to the temperature monitor, and then ship it to the site. When the site gets it, there's no temperature monitor, so then they have no idea if anything went wrong. These are examples of the amazing things that happen along the distribution and the supply chain. These are the things that we have to watch out for before we even get there. So I'd say, what are the golden rules? Some of the golden rules are do some risk assessment. You know, everything these days is risk-based monitoring, risk-based quality, and what it is it's really a concept that says, what are we doing to mitigate the risks so we keep as much of the clinical supply chain under control? So if we do that, if we do some good risk assessment, if we collaborate with our partners, whether they be in quality or regulatory, our vendors who will be the couriers and the customs brokers, things will go really much more smoothly. And that's really what it's all about. So the potential savings that you might have if you actually do some really good distribution planning are amazing. These days we're doing a lot of trials with comparators, and those comparators range from the sublime to the ridiculous in terms of how much they actually cost. So if we actually take a look at what those costs would be, especially with regards to oncology, these days there are some oncology products that are literally $5,000 a vial. And when you're actually doing a large phase 3 trial and you're going into sites all over the world, if you have just one shipment that goes out of spec, the cost can be staggering. So therefore, when we talk about costs, we already know we have issues with regards to overages. In many cases, we're being left with millions of dollars of drug, which we then sometimes turn to our vendor partner or our comparator partners and we go, can you resell this for us? But in these situations where they arrive out of spec and they're no good, that can actually really wind up costing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars. And it's up to us to go ahead and make sure that those losses never occur.
There's good stuff going on. We're talking about simulation. We're talking about just-in-time manufacturing, just-in-time labeling. These are all things that are going to continue to sort of help us get better at doing our jobs, to make sure that we're producing the right amount of product, that we're saving money, we're doing good things for patients. So, you know, those sorts of technological advances, I think, are really, they're exciting. It's good.
we have a good opportunity to discuss about, I would say, business in general, but most often related to the topic that we have today. So because we are developing some ideas or some, I would say, interest coming from the discussion that we have during the conference. So we have discussions linked to new way of business or new expectation that we can extract from the event. So discussions with the partners, still interesting to have discussion with them to take the temperature of the business.